You're not free! Saf is here, and this is Saf Buxy from Saf Surgery, and of course, spirituality gone wild. What a week we've had, and what a week we're gonna have, but what a show I've got for you today. I have an incredible lady that I've got to know over the last few months, and her story touched me in such a way that I had to have her on this wonderful platform, because I know her story will also touch you, and her story gives everyone a message of hope, and that's what this is about. Inspirational people, inspirational stories, and she is definitely inspiration. So please stay and watch the whole show. Of course, we're a Spirituality Gone Wild. Feel Good Factor TV is a channel that I'm part of every Saturday and Sunday morning on Sky Channel 191, Sky Showcase. This week it is at 10 a.m. Men's Talk, but the whole channel is 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. So it's 4 hours now, but we're on at 10 o'clock, Men's Talk. I'm on at 10 o'clock instead of 10:30. Enough of that for now. I want to welcome you, Donna Marie. Donna, as I said, is an incredible human being, and I'm sure her story will inspire you, and it will help you use your trauma to transform. And these are her words. Her life started pretty traumatically, going through birth trauma, and taken away from her mother straight away to be operated on. And I know what that's like from a different perspective. Donna was born with a syndrome called Amniotic Band Syndrome, which caused a number of different birth defects. She was born with part missing fingers and a missing toe. Numerous surgeries Donna had, and numerous visits to hospitals to get her fingers to actually function. And that was tough. And it had a knock-on effect when she was a teenager. And in her adult life, resulting in chronic anxiety, manic depression, panic attacks, and several attempts to commit suicide because she couldn't stand living in her body. She hated it, and she felt like a victim. She is one incredible soldier. She is a survivor. She is a fighter. But before all that, she fell into many disastrous situations and destructive relationships because she lacked self-worth, and she went through physical, mental, and emotional domestic abuse on a regular basis. Lost severe weight, near on anorexic, and she's also a victim of sexual abuse. So this is a lady who's been through a lot, but thankfully she has come through this. And I think it is, apart from photography and other things, she discovered holistic therapy, yoga, tantra therapy, but the therapeutic photography as well that I mentioned has been a big part of her recovery from that way of life that took her to such a point where she did not want to live anymore. And these tools have been a blessing to her, and we're going to talk about a bit about her past, but really I want to honor Donna for what she's achieving today and how what she's done can motivate you, and of course can help you in your journey if you're struggling, especially at these times right now. So Donna, without further ado, where you at, Donna? Where you at? Where you at, Donna? Where you at? Oh, chill here.
I'm here.
Hey, Donna. Oh, beautiful. Hi, how you doing?
Hello. Good, thank you. Thank you for having me on.
Oh, it's been a while. We met a few months ago, and this is what I tell people. COVID for me, terrible situations and the terrible things that have been happening in the world, but it's made it's made our work in a kind of way, because obviously we're both about giving messages of hope and helping as many people as possible. And if it wasn't for technology and platforms like this, we may not have met. And I'm so grateful and blessed that we did. And I'm so grateful that I've got you on the show tonight to share your story, because your story is remarkable. Before we continue, your website is on the bottom here. www.donnamarie.co.uk. And when I heard your story from yourself, it touched me. It touched me in a way, like it gave me hope. It gave me hope, and I know it will give other people hope, because your story is remarkable. And there's people out there who will definitely be able to relate to you. Maybe not regarding the birth defects that you were born with, but any other kind of trauma or anything that anyone's going through, you can get out of it if you put your mind to it, or if you want to, or if something happens. In your case, you had amazing tools that came into your life, and we're going to hear about that. But I'm going to honor you today, and please, 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 this is straight away to you. Let us know from birth what happened and how things developed. Over to you, Donna. Thank you.
Yeah, so I was born in Chase Farm Hospital, and obviously,
Really? My daughter was born in Chase.
There you go.
Yeah, my daughter was born in Chase Hospital. Yeah.
Oh, it's an amazing place. And actually, most of my life is spent in a hospital. You know, I've kind of not been out of hospital that long. I feel like I haven't anyway. So, as I said, already explained, kind of, I was pretty much taken away straight away to be operated on, because there was all this complication with my hands, and I had to like, they didn't know what had gone on, and my mum, bless her, she's gone through a lot of pain, and it was a long process of actually being in labour, and it was agony for her. And could you imagine, like, later on, how much like actual trauma was stored in the body from that, like, birth trauma? And then I was constantly in and out of hospital at a young age, at an amazing Great Ormond Street Hospital for children, and I was constantly in and out of there. Like, I missed so much school, which is why I struggled at school. I couldn't concentrate. Whenever I was there, it was having to fit in again. I got bullied, as you, like, where have you been? You know, you've been away. Where have you been? How comes you get to take time out? And can you imagine, just, you know, it's a little bit of comments that people used to make, and it was worse than that. But just being inside hospitals and just seeing all these children that were a lot worse than me, don't get me wrong. There were children that were just a lot worse than me, and they had a lot more going wrong with them. But being surrounded by that at such a young age, I didn't know any different. I didn't know anything different than pain, to be honest, and suffering. And that's all I saw. So as you can imagine, just growing up in that sort of environment and really not knowing what it was like to have fun as a child, and actually just, you know, have fun and laugh. And because I didn't really experience much of those moments in my childhood, I feel like I've missed a lot of my childhood out, if that makes sense. Which is why I'm quite childish now. I laugh about everything, and I'm pretty childish when I need to be. It keeps me sane.
It must have been tough though, because I know when I was growing up, I got bullied for total different reasons, and it must have been tough going through that as a child. How did you get through it?
I don't really know. I mean, inner strength. A lot of the time, I was always told to be strong. I was always told just to be strong. You know, just be strong and not show my weakness. So I didn't know how to be weak. I didn't know how to cry. I didn't even know what emotions were. I was like, had to be strong my whole life and have these bandages on me, and constantly, like, you've been looked at, and, you know, with these bandages that never used to come off. You know, it wasn't nice. Like, never felt nice in my body. I never felt attractive, as you can imagine. Never really felt like I never fit in with the cool kids, or, you know, I always felt like the outsider, like the dark horse. How I coped, I don't really know. One of the things that really helped me was my art at school. Obviously, it was the only thing where I could release. I guess that's why I was such a good artist. What I did at school is I excelled in art. It was the only subject that I actually like put all my energy into. Everything else I didn't want to do, didn't like math, concentrate, wasn't really intellectual. Art was, I guess, a massive healing process for me, which is why I had all my paintings around the school, because I guess I put my energy into that, and that's where I channeled my pain, I guess. Never really kind of realised actually that until now. Yeah.
You were born with amniotic band.
Just like, I don't know if you can see it. So yeah, I mean, I've had loads of surgery done to make them like this. They were joint. These two were joint. I mean, they don't look. They look. I didn't get that. Siri's talking to me now. So yeah, I just had. I mean, to get these actually functioning took years of surgery of actually getting them to actually function. I couldn't write with them. I constantly had bandages on them, stitches. Like it was just horrible. And to be how they are today, to actually be able to practice yoga, is like a huge achievement. Like, and to be massage therapist as well. Actually, one of the best in Bristol. When I used to live in Bristol, it was just like doing everything as possible because of my hands. Like, how's that happen? Yeah.
We'll come on to the yoga, but I've seen some of your stuff, and some of the stuff you do is, God, I could only dream of doing. It's incredible. And you did say that you're going to teach me one day, but we'll come to that anyway. You're the least, most flexible person you'll ever meet, but I remember you saying to me that it can be done if you.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And that's a lesson for everyone. I mean, you were born with these defects, and throughout your younger years, you've got bandages, you got stitches. When did you actually become aware that you were different, or things were different when you looked at other children, or did you more or less know immediately? When did all that come about?
I knew I was always the different child. Yeah, definitely, because children just to look at me all the time. Like it was like I was like the person that everyone looked at, not in a nice way either. They would make comments and stuff, but they were just inquisitive probably a lot of the time. But that went in emotionally, you know. And I didn't really realise like it really hit me properly and deeply until later on in life. So I used to walk around hiding a lot of the time at school. I'd have my jumpers over my hands. I used to do this because I was so scared to show the world. You know, it's ridiculous, really. I laugh about it now. It's ridiculous. It is ridiculous, but back then it wasn't. It was like a huge pain for me, more emotionally than it was physically. Don't get me wrong, but yeah, I mean. I guess I always knew I was the outsider, and I never really fit in at school. I was always the outside one, the dark horse, a bit. She looks a bit odd, you know, kind of stay away from her sort of thing. You know,
Children can be so cruel, can't they? And they see it as joking and banter, but they don't understand that how it can hurt the other person. As a youngster growing up, did you have any suicidal thoughts then, or did that come later on, or when did that all start?
In fact, yeah, it came later on when I was like 16 beyond, because it kind of compounded. So when I was like 16, kind of beyond that up to my 20s, that's when it all kind of literally compounded all at once. And that's when I just used to get consistent. Like I consistently used to think, I just wish I was dead. I don't want to be here anymore. Like I just don't, like, what's the point? You know? But actually, it didn't really hit properly home until I left school when I was actually at college. That it kind of compounded even more. Like there was different levels of it. And because I started attracting the wrong people, the wrong relationships, as you can imagine, just had no self-worth. And yeah, I mean, think about getting a picture taken of myself was like a hell no. Like I used to wear makeup, tons of makeup to hide the mask, to hide the pain. And I used to take selfies of myself because it was like a validation thing, you know, and like, yeah, I just used to do all these crazy things. Like I never used to come home of a certain evening. I just you know, wouldn't tell my parents where I'd gone, and I just turned into a bit of a rebel, really.
Did you have anyone to talk to, anyone to confide in, or anyone? Did you get support from anyone during these years?
Not really. I went to counselling kind of once when I realised that there was a problem when I took myself down to the doctors, and they suggested that counselling would be something to try, but they didn't have a clue.
No.
So,
What about your family members, your parents, or do you have any siblings?
yeah, I told my brother about it. He was pretty amazing. He didn't really know how to respond to it with his sister being like this. Like, it was hard for him. So I used to put a lot on him, really, just being like, help me, you know, I need help, like, tell me what to do. But he didn't really get it, and he's the kind of opposite to me, of like, he kind of runs a mile, just wouldn't know how to properly help someone in that situation because he just goes into panic. So actually, for him, that was, it was quite difficult. Not that he's a bad person. I mean, love my brother to bits, like, we're close. And my parents didn't really get it either. I mean, my mum's, bless her, has got a history of depression and anxiety and all that. But try and talk to her about my issues, it's just like kind of blowed over. I'll just get on with it. Just get on with it. You know, just don't tell anyone you've got depression, you'll never get a job. You know, that's the sort of attitude that I used to get. You know.
How did you cope? I mean, people call it coping mechanisms. Me and you, hear me out on this. I call them brilliant strategies,
Like
and because people who have been through something, any kind of trauma, any kind of, in my case, trauma, and then led to addiction, right? And addiction for me, people would say, "Oh, that was your coping strategy." Well, I'd call it a brilliant strategy, not a coping mechanism. That was a brilliant, because at that time, that's what got me through it. Yes, there were consequences, and now I use different brilliant strategies in my life. What brilliant strategy, or as the world knows it as coping mechanisms, did you use when you were at your lowest point?
definitely, like, self-harm. Definitely, it was like a go-to for me to just release it and let go of it. And so I definitely used to do that. I guess I used to go down Camden Market quite a lot and go raving, and, you know, go to the old clubs and just let out, and, you know, not come home till early hours of the morning. And that was my coping mechanism. Yeah, just being rebellious, really. That was my coping mechanism, just like releasing the anger. And I think that was pretty much my coping mechanism, was like actually being a rebel. You know, I'll be honest, I was like not a nice person to be around. And just, I mean, I never turned to drugs. I didn't actually have drugs. I've never been into drugs. They've never really interested me. I've always avoided them. Definitely, like, I used to drink quite a bit. Smoking, I guess. Like, even with that, I didn't really smoke loads. It was just now and again when I was angry. I used to just waste my days hanging around, you know, in cars, driving somewhere, or, you know, and it was definitely partying a lot, going to lots of heavy metal festivals.
Heavy metal.
Yeah.
Yeah, who's your band? Who's your favorite band?
Oh God, back in the day, it was like Slipknot and, you know, like all these goth. I can't remember the band names anymore. Like, I guess these gothic bands. Can't remember it, so long ago. It's all blur.
You must be at least 20 years younger than me, so I have no idea who you're talking about. But because I was into Motley Crue, and you probably don't even
Yeah,
know Motley Crue. Yeah, I was when I was growing up as a rocker. But goth-wise, I love The Cure. I remember The
yeah.
Cure. They were, Rob Smith and all that. But anyway, yeah. So, and Camden Market, Camden, I know very well, Camden. So, yeah, crazy place, but it's good fun. So, okay, so the suicidal thoughts and ideation, and you said you attempted suicide, did you? Did you actually attempt suicide a few times?
Yeah, Camden train station. At the actual tube station. Yeah,
What,
that was.
what happened? What did you do?
Well, I was out in Camden one night, and I had a row with the boyfriend at the time, the abusive one of them anyway. And I'd had enough, and I I was out off my face, and I decided that was it. I was going to end it, and I just went to Camden the train station. Was going to literally get in front of the train as soon as it started coming, and someone, I don't know who called the police. Someone called the police because they were there within literally 5 minutes, and I got taken over to unit overnight. So I had to go to unit overnight and explain what I was doing, what had happened, and spent most of that evening obviously travelling in a police car. Had to go in the unit overnight, and somehow they released me the next day. So yeah, that was one of mine, and that was a bit of a blur because how I'm still here. I mean, I don't know. And one of them was a drive myself into wall as well. When I was driving, and the other one was another driving. Yeah, I was just driving, like I wasn't aware. I was just driving at speed, and yeah, I mean, this was on a motorway at night where there was no one around, and this car was driving towards me. And like, if I had not seen that car, actually, that's a different time. God, there's like many times now. It's all coming back now. So I drove once to rush home to get back this guy who was rushing me to get home because I better get home because I'll be in trouble otherwise. So I had to drive home, and unfortunately, it was a blind spot, and my car hit the side of the road and went on its full circle, and I could have died. I nearly died. How I'm still alive? How I have no injuries from that accident? I don't know.
Well,
Like, all these little moments, they just add up, and you just think, how the hell am I still here?
it's so good that you are here because you're doing some wonderful stuff at the moment. Before we get on to that, you also mentioned you experienced and suffered abuse in other ways as well. So you have to talk a little bit about that to people, maybe people who are suffering from some kind of domestic, physical, sexual abuse out there, how you got out of it, or how well, over to you.
Yeah, I think with that partner at the time, it was not just mental. Most of it was mental. It was, it was physically, like shouting all the time in my face, shoving me downstairs, kicking me on the floor, slamming doors in my face, pushing me on the ground, having my head to the floor, all sorts. I was driving once, and he'd pull the handbrake up, just like nutty, crazy stuff like that. And I just used to think it was okay. I was like, oh, it's fine. It is what it is. And like, I was in that relationship for about 3 years of it being like that. And that Camden Market was this was the same guy. That Camden Market was like a big wake up call that I'm not doing this anymore. Can't do this anymore. So that was a hell no, I need to change my life moment. And started to realise a bit of my worth then when that happened. And I don't want to see you again. Literally and I never heard from him ever again. And to this day, I don't even know if he's alive. He was at that state of wanting to die as well. Like, can you imagine that relationship? So I don't even know if he's around anymore or what. And never heard from him ever again. That was like 10 years ago now. So that was that. That was that relationship. There was another one which was just narcissistic. So it was all emotional, mental, manipulative, just constant. But at the time, I didn't know what narcissism was, and I just used to think he was really overprotective and that he wanted to look after me, and it wasn't. It was actually the opposite. So I just got out of that relationship because I just said, actually, I deserve more than this, and I walked away from that one after 3 years again. So you can see these sort of patterns happening. Like, just putting up with it for that long, I just guess I found my inner strength. And the ones where I was kind of sexually abused, for years I just pushed it under the carpet. I didn't even think that it was wrong at the time. That's just the way it is. I can't believe I had literally lost my power. I had no power to even think that I was wrong. And I just kind of put up with it and endured it. Never told anyone. Lived with that shame for quite some time. And then one day it all just I don't know, it just all blew up, and I just realised that I needed to change my life, and that I couldn't do it anymore. And it was like a outer external spiritual thing. It was like, this keeps happening. Like, how many times does this need to happen before I actually wake up? Kind of moment. So.
And all these times, the defects that you had at birth, they were getting better. Your movements was getting better. And I guess, was that ever a part of any of the abuse that you experienced, whether it's physical, mental, sexual, from these people?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of them used to take this at me a lot of the time for it, and I used to like kind of shovel it off and pretend it was okay, and you know, they're just laughing about it and joking around, but actually it's not okay. That was a lot later in my life. My hands were fine, and it wasn't a problem. But sometimes, yeah, it would be like little nitty, you know, comment here and there, you know, oh, look at you, you're not going to get anyone better, are you? You know, things like that, you know, and you know, just look at you, who you are, and it was all because they're just hurting inside themselves. You know, I understand that now, but that pain's just reflected out. But at the time, I didn't realise there was anything wrong with it. And it played a huge part in me attracting the wrong people, because I had lacked any self-worth with the way I looked, the way I felt, and who I was as a person. I was always just a people pleaser, just making everyone happy and not myself. So,
And that comes down to lack of self-worth, doesn't it? And
yeah.
maybe guilt and shame. But obviously, we think why. But that's you know, and once you can dissolve, in my experience, once you can dissolve the guilt and shame, self-worth just comes, and it's wonderful what happens with that, and it feels like you have dissolved and shame, and it feels like you do now have self-worth. When was the moment when self-worth came into your life, and all these wonderful things that you do today? When did all that happen?
I think it's when I started my yoga. I mean, I realised that like yoga was more than just a physical practice. It was a spiritual practice of unbecoming everything you thought you were, and actually really becoming who you were meant to be in the first place. So really just taking off all of this like facade and all this mask, and just actually letting go and telling my story and being authentic with the women in my group, and just telling people stuff I've never told anyone, and realising that I could let go of it, and it was safe to let go of it. And I started to feel safe in my body through my yoga practice, and actually realising that I had breath, that I could feel my body. And it was all numb before. It was all just blocked and numb because I was so depressed. So my yoga really started to actually wake my body up, and actually start feeling sensation again. Even sexual sensation. Like before, it was just numb. Couldn't feel anything. It was like my whole body just disassociated from any form of connection at all. Just run the mile. So yoga was like a huge saviour to me. I wouldn't be here without it. Right. That was a teacher training course. You know, I decided to just embark on a teacher training course, and even that, I didn't even think it was possible for me to be a yoga teacher because of the hands thing. I was like, oh yeah, but I don't think I'd ever be able to get into that position because the way my hands are, and it's all just a load of rubbish. It's just what we tell ourselves, you know, because it's not true. It's, you know, what we tell ourselves, what we believe, and we become that. And yoga was the unbecoming of me to become. So
this reminds me of a famous Paralympian, but
wow.
She was then, and Victoria Arlen. Have you heard that name?
Yeah.
She's incredible, and your story is you know, there's so many similarities. And exactly, they said that she could never walk again. I mean, she was lucky to be alive. They said that she wouldn't live after she lived. She walked. She went on the American version of Strictly Come Dancing, and she's dancing. Wow. It's just, and it's all because her mum said to her that don't listen to anyone. If you want to do it, you'll do it. And it seems like what you're saying about yourself. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what we have or what we don't have. If you want to do yoga, you will do yoga. And not only do you do it wonderfully, and you teach it, and you become a master at that sport. And I call it a sport because it's got everything in it. Yoga is one of the best things that I would love to do, but which I don't. My daughter does it, my wife does it, but I don't. But one day, but you know what? And listening to your story inspires me to do it. Do you know what I mean? So, but in addition to yoga, I want to hear about the other stuff that you do, the photography and the tantric photography. And I've seen some of your work, and it's so tastefully done, and it's so beautiful. And it's not, you do it you do it outside, don't you? You do it outside in the forests and the trees behind, and you have these poses. But it's so beautiful. How did you get into that? And I guess that in itself is confidence. That in itself is worth.
Yeah.
How did you get into all that? Where did that come from?
Yeah, I'll tell you. So I've always wanted to be a bit of a model. I was always a bit of a model. I used to carry my phone around. I used to take photos of me myself when I was in my 20s, and I always dreamed that being a model was pretty cool, and it'd be like a dream to come true. Anyway, later down the line, I met Julian, not of Gander Photography, and it's been a massive shout out to him. And we met at a networking meeting in January, and I saw that he did boudoir, and I was like, oh, I don't know about that. It's a bit, oof, I don't know. It's like, oh, I don't know if I can do that. And I resisted doing anything like that for a long, long time. I done a shoot before in Bristol, and it wasn't the same. It's not what he does. And so we had a chat back in February, and we really went deep. Like, the way he works is very deep. It's, we take photos of what you don't like about yourself and transform it into help you to actually love what you don't like, see yourself from a different perspective. So we've been doing lots of work over this, the whole year, and really we've just created some incredible magic. He's really helped me to transform the way I think about my body, the way I look, the way I feel. And just through doing a photo shoot that once would have terrified me, which it did, it's made me actually want to do more and more and more of it, and I just can't stop doing it because it helps me to break through my fears. It helps me to heal. It's like therapeutic photography. So from his perspective of helping me, that's really helped me heal. And then it's made me want to pick up a camera, and it's made me really want to inspire me to actually take pictures of other people in this way too. I'm in the process of helping people to show themselves for who they are, just being who you are, being authentic with your body. I don't do what he does on that level. I would like to get there one day. He has been training me and teaching me, and it's just blown my mind what we've created this year and some of the photos that I've seen. I've never seen myself in that way, nor that I ever thought I would see myself in that way. And it's very weird to see yourself in that way. It blows my mind, but actually it's exactly what I needed. It's deep, you've got to be ready to face it all head on. But yeah, the work that he does is just out of this world, just incredible. So
I've seen some of the photographs, and they're so wonderfully done. And it's not just of yourself. I've seen photographs with different people, all different shapes and sizes, and it gives a message of people that what I see is like, be comfortable with who you are.
Yeah.
You have.
Yeah.
And not many people can do that. There aren't many people in the world could do that. And from where you've come from, with everything that you've endured, from the birth defects, from the suicidal ideations and attempts, from the relationship issues that you've had, from the abuse, and now yoga came into your life, photography came into your life, but not just photography, but the sensual, tantric, comfortable in your own body kind of photography. It's all therapeutic, it's all spiritual, and it's what has made you today. We're coming to an end on it, but what I want to say is that, what would you say to someone? Oh no, let me change that. What would you say to your younger self as you are today? Your younger self, 10, 11, 12, whatever it is, and you're going through what you went through, and you're there on the bed talking to your younger self with everything you know today. What would you say? What would you say to young Donna?
Oh, you're a warrior. Believe in yourself. You can do whatever you put your mind to. Just believe and trust that you've got this, and it's okay. It's okay just to be you.
Yeah.
For definite. Because I never used to think it was okay just to be me. So
You is very nice, and you're a wonderful you, and you're so lovely, and you come across so confident now, and it hasn't always been like that.
No.
You're such a bubbly character, and it's amazing of what you've achieved. So where would you like to be in the next five years? So what's your goal for the next 5 years, Donna? I know you've got one because that's the kind of
Yeah,
person.
loads of goals. Oh my god. Yeah, so with my modelling, I want to be like top model, but not like I want to be an art model, like a nude art model, with like reforming my body as art and actually make money out of art, like nude art and real therapeutic art. So that's like with my modelling journey, that's what I want to go with that. With my yoga and my tantra and all my that photography side, I just really want to start running retreats and workshops for people that have been through similar things to me, and start really empowering those people to make change and positive change with their life. So like retreats and workshops, photography retreats is just going to be like definitely on the cards next year, and just keep continuing to step outside the comfort zone. I just want to travel the world, what I'm doing, especially with the modeling and the photography, and I want to be art on the walls and be proud that someone's bought that picture and it's me. I know it's a bit egoist, but it's good to have a bit of healthy ego after the journey that I've been through, and to inspire people to do the same. Like, no matter what you look like, it's not about how you look, it's how you feel, because that's what it's really about. It's how you feel inside. So yeah, got big goals. I'm in the process of getting published in magazines at the moment, and getting a bit more visibility with that. So
Incredible, and this is it, because there's people who watch my show, and you may know that I'm a big advocate for the law of duality, and it's always. I always look at the benefits of any negative, and I always look at the drawbacks of any positive, and I bring it to an equilibrium, because I believe in living in a two-sided perception, not having a one-sided world, or being bought into as one-sided fantasy. But what's beautiful is you've been through things, I've been through things, and today I look at it how it served me today. And this is how it served you today. No regrets, man. Do you know what I mean? Isn't that beautiful? When you can go through X, Y, and Z, and there's no regrets after that. Beautiful. Beautiful. Well, look, thank you very much. We will stay in touch, of course, no doubt. And I do feel 2021, we may do something together. I have that feeling. Might be wrong, but I have that feeling. So thank you very much for joining me. And I'll see you soon.
Thank you. Take care. Bye.
Bye. Wow. What an amazing lady Donna is. And she's still in the green room. So I will have a chat with her in a bit. So guys, thank you very much. This has been Saf Surgery. I've been Saf. Next week we have a great guest as always. But don't forget to see me this Saturday morning at 10 a.m. on Feel Good Factor TV, Sky Showcase, channel 191. I'm on at 10. The whole channel starts at 7. And this Saturday, I'm talking about gender. Gender norms and stuff. So it's a great show. I think one of my better ones. So please, if you have time, look at it. Saturday, Sunday with Pete, 10 o'clock, Men's Talk, 7 a.m. Feel Good Factor TV, Sky TV, channel 191. Until the next time, do not fear. Saf is here. Peace.